Good morning, Fremont County and Hot Springs County, as well as Washakie. It is Kevin Shields, Baylor Beers, Cody Beers with you on WyoToday Sports Live. We got a lot to touch on, and how you doing, gentlemen?
Doing good, yeah. Things are slowing down. Olympics are in full speed.
You know, I watched the half pipe last night, and that was a lot of fun. I'm not sure what her first name is, but Kim from the U.S., the defending champion and Olympic champion, ended up second. But those ladies were flying through the air, and it was fun to watch. It really was.
And she was going for her third straight gold. I think it had been a snowboard half pipe or a snowboard record.
She ended up with silver.
Yeah. So it's been hard to kind of keep up with them because, all the live events are on at 4 a.m. And it seems that, quite honestly, like NBC's more interested in kind of the showmanship aspect of it and stuff like that. So having to go to Peacock and watch some of that. We have had a lot of local news since we joined you last time in the sports world. Riverton wins the conference in swimming, as does Lander. Lyman actually won 10 of the 12 events against Lander, but Lander's depth just shining through as they took multiple seconds, thirds, and fourths to secure yet another conference, and they will head down to Laramie with a chance to win their 30th state title in a row. Will the Lander Valley Tigers, and of course Riverton winning the conference, I do believe, for the very first time, and they will be headed to Laramie looking for a state title. Riverton's been pretty good. Shout out to Alex Jordan. He was for Riverton. He was the one multiple event winner for the Wolverines.
Coach of the Year, Jay Dayton. Congratulations to Jay. He's been in the depths of the Riverton boys and girls program for years, and he was Baylor's swimming coach, and I can't think of a more deserving individual. He's got chlorine in his veins, so to speak, and so congratulations to Jay Dayton.
Metaphorically, because it'd kill him if it was literal.
Of course, metaphorically, but that guy has spent more time in the Riverton Aquatic Center than anybody in Riverton history.
Yeah, I big congrats to him. I didn't even know that they were in contention to do that, just because it's never happened before. And I remember times when I swam back in high school 12 years ago when we had 5 swimmers and we had just enough to compete in all 3 relays, that kind of thing. So to have to come back and win the conference title means people are showing up to swimming. That's pretty awesome. That's, like my dad said, testament to Jay Dayton.
Well, especially there's been several who've had great years in the relays and stuff like that. We mentioned Alex Jordan earlier. He has been kind of a rock for them all season, winning multiple events in almost every single duel or every single tournament, or he has just been phenomenal and very versatile, and that whole team's been very well. As a fact, when they faced Lander, they did beat Lander, so it'll be interesting to see Lander going for their 30th. We talked about the big news story. Lander's kind of like even more dominant, but you remember the football team out of California that won like 120 in a row. They made a movie about it, and then they finally lost one. And they kind of mentally didn't know where to go because, you had multiple classes of seniors who'd never lost one. So the seniors and stuff like that. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but it'll be interesting to see. Eventually all great runs come to an end. Lander is the city of champions when it comes to swimming, and we'll see what happens in Laramie. Of course, Lyman's feeling like if they can get a few more placements, they can take them out because they have been able, like I said, at regional to win 10 of 12 events. Speaking of coaches, Cody, we had a couple that were nominated or finalists this year for national awards that were thrown up there. One is Tim Hester, a boys assistant coach out of Lander. Doesn't list his sport. I don't know off the top of my head. So
I don't know
list
either.
him, and then Brandon I'm gonna botch this. Daramidi from Thermopolis for golf.
You said it right, actually.
Okay, cool. So they join, kind of some of your typical schools of Cody and Thunder Basin and others with these, and it looks like they're almost all winter and spring sports that are listed here. So congratulations to them. We've got a full slate of basketball the next 2 days. Of course, Riverton played last night against Rock Springs. Rock Springs at one point in time was number 2 in the state in boys. They've fallen off a little bit. Rock Springs and Riverton are a lot alike as far as the focus has to be there. When the focus is there, they're both pretty good. Rock Springs is incredible when they're fully focused. And on the girls' side, when they played at Rock Springs, they were both separated by 1 basket. Girls lost, boys lost, both by 1. Here last night, the Riverton girls went going away 42-26, I do believe. Girls' defense was just phenomenal, held them to 9 field goals for the entire game, and just played like they're capable of playing. Carson Rosika and Talon Leesburg leading the scoring there, which was nice to see because as the leading scorers of the team, they've kind of gone back and forth. When Riverton gets points out of their guards in double figures, they've got a good chance to beat most teams on the schedule, even though people would look at the record and say, no, they're not probably going to be able to compete with the East of the world. East is going to probably win state this year, especially with Cody not in 4A. Just going away. The boys, first quarter killed them, and then they clawed back, had a lead at the very beginning of the third. Looked like it was going to be a back and forth. And then credit to Rock Springs defense held Riverton to 1 field goal in the fourth quarter and won by 10. It's just Bo Sheets in the postgame talking about they've got to find a consistent effort, a consistent intensity throughout the game. Because the second and third was just beautiful basketball, especially the third by both teams, but the second by Riverton. First and fourth, they got behind kind of big, came back, and then got behind big at the very end.
Well, that's unfortunately, I think we knew that going into the year that Riverton didn't have the size. They had the speed. But you knew they had to stay well, and that's been an issue here of late for the Wolverines. Getting injured, and, Rock Springs is a winnable game, but you got to hit your shots. So, moving into this weekend for the 2A teams, we're got 3 games left, basically, for Wyoming Indian, Thermopolis. I was just looking at their schedule for the season. One of the things that I wanted to talk about between these two front runners, probably the best 2A boys teams in the state is Thermopolis. They're 14-4. Wyoming Indians 19-2. Thermopolis took that number 1 away from Wyoming Indian when they beat Lovell in the Thermopolis tournament back on January 16th. But people seem to not remember that Wyoming Indian beat Thermopolis 59-56 in overtime out at Ethity. But you look at the schedule for Thermopolis, and you can kind of understand the way the votes have went. They have beaten, from the class above, they've beaten Lander. They did lose to Green River, but they beat Laramie. They lost to Cheyenne East. They beat Wheatland. They beat Lovell. They did lose to Lovell on January 31st, but and they did beat Powell, and they did beat Cody. Wyoming Indian beat Cody. They beat Worland. So you can argue that Thermopolis has played the tougher schedule, but bottom line, the regional tournament and a possible matchup between these two teams awaits. Depending on how the standings break down, it could be in the championship of the 2A West Regional. We'll see how things go, but a lot of fun shaping up here in February, like it always does, as we get ready to see some of the best basketball in Wyoming right here at Riverton High School.
And congratulations to Cody Bomagen, of course, his dad, now an assistant for Thermopolis, but did broadcast for us for a couple years. He had 1,000 points for his career just recently, and of course he signed to play at the next level as well.
Gillette College.
At Gillette College. So congratulations to Cody on that achievement, and he did that all in about a week, because I think on February 12th is when he hit his 1,000th. And he did it emphatically, according to this, with a slam dunk. So congratulations to him.
Yeah, just both those teams are fantastic. That was such a fun matchup to watch, that overtime win by the Chiefs, and I think a lot of people are excited to maybe see that as a regional championship matchup there. But still a lot of season left, like you said, 3 games for Wyoming Indian. Not sure how many for Thermopolis, but probably about the same. And then that regional championship, you can kind of a little bit throw the records out. Maybe not in the first round, but once you get in the semifinals and the finals, you got to show up, and so it's going to be the team that has the most focus, and is prepared for that 3-game tournament here in Riverton. So it should be a fun conclusion of the season.
Well, it is an interesting storyline because the two teams met in last year's 2A West Regional Championship. Wyoming Indian pulled away and won that game. But then the next day, Wyoming Indians suffered the loss of Cordell Spoonhunter. Well, Spoonhunter's back. The Chiefs ended up 3rd in the state tournament last year. Thermopolis won it, and they've got the bragging rights right now. So, but the Chiefs have beaten Thermopolis 2 games in a row. And I know that the Bobcats, their group of kids knows that, and they'll have to come into Riverton to be a regional champion. Of course, anything can happen in the first 2 rounds. I don't want to assume that these 2 teams are going to win and then meet, and everybody else is just going to roll over and play dead, because they're not. They're not, and they don't.
And that's what we thought with the regionals last year, is that it was all leading to a state tournament involving Thermopolis and another team, that they'd win the regionals, they'd face for the title. They both lose in the regionals, and they wound up playing first round at state. So sometimes a loss is the best thing for you. It seemed to be for Thermopolis, because they came in that state title run just so extremely focused. And I mean, that state title game, we were joking with Kevin Gerber via text. I think you were a part of it, Cody, just going, "Are you bored yet?" Because it was over almost as soon as they tipped it. Thermopolis just ran away, played 3 straight games, extremely focused, and that's what it's going to take. 4A is going to be very interesting, 3A as well. 4A is one of the more interesting things. Any given year, especially 4A West, anybody can beat anybody, it seems. But now it's add in the fact that not only can anybody beat anybody can lose anybody can blow out somebody or get blown out by anybody in 4A. It's whoever's going to win the regionals, and we've got a couple weeks till then. Riverton really needs to right the ship. They're on their longest losing streak of the season. They're really only streak, losing-wise, of the season on the boys' side. They've got to get some things right, and they've got a tough test in Green River Saturday, because Rock Springs very physical, very fast, has a big player. He was held in check for the most part, because Riverton's not. They're not short. They're not tall either. They're all about 6'2", 6'3". But now they face Green River, who's a much more kind of finesse, skill-based team. And that's going to be a tough win, a tough get as well. The only thing good for Riverton is, after all those road games, of the next 4, 3 of them are at home. So, and we were at home last night. So they do have to go to Afton next Saturday, which, but just the drive there.
I just love that you have to make that trip, Kevin. But
it's supposed to get 14 inches of snow between 2 days leading up to it, if the Weather Channel has anything to say about it.
Did want to give a shout out while we were talking about the Thermopolis Bobcats, but I just remembered it. Nolan Collins, the senior point guard, signed this week to go to Chadron State. And he is a defensive back, one of the best in Wyoming. So congratulations to the Thermopolis Bobcats point guard, who is signed to play football at Chadron State.
We very much a tunnel, if you will, or a connection between Chadron State and here. Of course, Clay Sheet's going to join his brother Ty, as we talked about last week. We're having a lot of signings. Congratulations to Danny, I just forgot her last name. It's the former soccer coach, too. That's kind of sad. but congratulations to livestock judging. She is headed towards Casper College, and that's awesome for her from Riverton. So we've had a lot of signees. It's been a whole bunch, and so that's awesome to see people going on to compete at the next level. And Chadron State, obviously one of kind of the favorites, it seems, as far as a connection between Riverton and here.
It always has been. Riverton kids and Lander kids have focused in on Chadron. It's good to see these smaller schools getting some representation at Chadron, but it always has been a pipeline out of this part of the state. Chadron does a great job of recruiting Wyoming kids. Did want to mention that the Thermopolis Bobcats, Lady Cats, will be playing Shoshone this weekend. That's a kind of a regional rivalry. And of course, our best wishes continue to go out to Andrew Garcia. My understanding is he had surgery and he's fixed up, and he's got a relatively long rehab going. But, our thoughts and prayers are to you, Andrew, and of course your parents who went through the trauma of seeing their senior son go down with a pretty horrific injury. But it was amazing to see the sportsmanship that was played during that injury, but by the Wyoming Indian Chiefs fans and, of course, the Bobcats fans. Not the Bobcats fans, the Wrangler fans, Lady Blue fans. But we wish the best to Andrew, and that's a big blow to Shoshone. And so it'll see they've had a week to respond and come up with a new plan, and they're going to need it against a very good Bobcats team.
They're going to need it. And that same night, Riverton's River White Plume went down with a knee. Haven't heard since he did have an MRI. We were told this week it didn't look good. I mean, when he went down, he just his legs felt like it was going down to his knees, but then he fell back. And knees pinned underneath him, so it did not look good. Don't know what his status will be back. Eric Smith did return last night. And like you said, we've got Thermopolis playing Shoshone this weekend. Of course, we are just jam-packed tonight, and you guys are going to have to be nice to Leanne with your pregame shows because every game tonight is 5:30 and 7.
Nice.
So first off, well, not first off, just in order that we have them listed here, on KFCW with Ernie Over and Jerry Muchmore, it will be Lander and Mountain View. They are in Mountain View tonight. On this channel, KD&O will be Thermopolis and Shoshone, and that will be with Marshall and cameraman Declan, as Kevin Gerber is on a well-deserved vacation he takes every year this time, or tries to. So hope he has a good time. And then, of course, on KWYW 99.1, it will be you guys, Wyoming Indian, hosting Big Piney.
It's always a good game, and Big Piney girls nearly upset Wyoming Indian in their last matchup. Lady Chiefs on a one-game losing streak after losing up in Rocky Mountain, but hoping to get back sophomore point guard Paisley Blackburn, who's a big part of things. Did want to wish our best to Paisley's family, her grandpa, former Riverton Wolverine star back in the 80s. St. Stephen's basketball coach Ricky Blackburn passed away this week after a long battle with cancer. We just wish our best for Ricky. He was a good friend of mine. We competed against each other in high school, and he was a stalwart within the St. Stephen's program for decades. He supported a lot of young people, and our best wishes go out to the Blackburn family.
You talk about the conference rivals, I guess, Big Piney and Kimmer. Those games are always tough for Wyoming Indian. I mean, those are the people that you're playing twice a year, so anything can happen in those games, especially Big Piney and Kimmer. They're pretty scrappy, and make stuff happen. So should be a fun weekend.
Well, and then on Saturday, we're all sorts of spread out. So starting at 1 o'clock, and then boys follow at 2:30. It'll be Lander and Pinedale in Lander on 93.1 KFCW at 1:30 and 3 on this station right here, KDNO. It'll be Thermopolis and Grable at Thermopolis. Then, jump back in time at 12:30 and 2 is Wyoming Indian and Kimmer in Ethity. And then we've kind of got a break, and Leanne's going to switch out with another board op. And then at 6 and 7:30 will be Riverton and Green River on KTAK. A bunch of other games, too. If you want to go out and see some basketball, you're like, hey, I want to go to a smaller school. Well, we won't be broadcasting because we're jam-packed. Shoshone is facing Rocky Mountain at 3 and 4:30 in Rocky Mountain. DuBois and Burlington are squaring off at 12 and 1:30, and then I can't really see the time there. It looks like 12:30 and 2. Looks like it's Wind River, and she had the wrong opponent because that's
It'll be
who you
Big
guys are
Piney.
playing.
It'll be Big Piney.
Don't y'all play Big Piney as well?
Wind River, Wyoming Indian plays Big Piney on Friday, and then Big Piney flips.
Okay, there we go. Yeah,
It'll
Big
be
Piney,
12:30 and 2.
Wind River at 12:30 and 2. So, there's there's about 4 or 5 basketball games in county this coming week, and a few this coming weekend, and a few on the road. And it just seems like we just started. As much as it all began, we're all on the tail end of it. You guys got 3 games total left, and Riverton Lander have about 4 left, and then we'll be headed off to regionals. Of course, 1A, 2A will be here, or 2A will be here.
But 1A's in Lander,
1A.
2A's in Riverton. It's always a big celebration of high school basketball in Fremont County. There'll be literally hundreds of people in town.
We didn't list where 3A is, so I don't know off the top of my head. I know 4A is at least 4A West is in Evanston.
I'll look it up.
Of course.
So Elon and Evanston. Actually, as far as gyms set up for it, I mean, we've been to some gyms that are greatly set up for it. Afton's not one of them. When we went to Afton's just not built for it to really host it. Green River, any of the ones that have kind of the catwalk up above, like in the middle or whatnot, are, of course, Eric Pauly. They basically put him in charge of Radio Row. So we were set up beautifully. Evanston's kind of got a setup that can be kind of easy for it. Rock Springs difficult because the press box is tiny, which is fine. It's only for 2 groups at times. So myself and others we just decided to set up in the stands because we had more room and stuff like that. But Evanston's got a really pretty good setup for it, as far as both in their box and down low. So that as far as on their kind of catwalk at the middle, above not middle, it's above all the seats. But and I'm sure Elon will make sure that everybody's taken care of. He's one of the great broadcasters here.
3A West this year is in Lovell.
All right, so in Lovell, so everybody kind of traveling a little bit, except for Cody.
I'm loving the fact that I get to be home. I've been on the road for 3 months.
So, and the interesting part is, I've been there with you, man. Last night was our 3rd home game. We're going to figure out what next year. We were kind of talking last night, where will 4A be? Because what's going to happen with Natrona County? Because supposedly Cody is bumping back up to 4A. And if they do, is Natrona County going back to the east? And who is someone bumping down? So our best guess was we're either in Cody or Kelly Walsh next year. Maybe Natrona County. I don't know if Natrona County really ever gets to host regionals. Casper's not a great place for it because, of course, it's at the same time that 1A, 2A state is going on. So at least Casper's big enough they'd have plenty of hotels overall, but it'll be interesting to see how that goes. And, of course, right as basketball's coming to an end, soccer will kick up for us. And then, of course, Legion and Senior Babe Ruth Baseball. And, of course, we are an affiliate on 99.1 for the Colorado Rockies. Teams have reported. And, Cody, you're a Rockies fan. And Baylor, you're a Rockies fan. I'm sorry for you guys past couple of years. But anything good on the horizon for the team out of Denver?
The one thing I'm looking forward to is is right now my wife and I are planning a trip to Phoenix the first week of April, and I'll be able to see the Arizona Diamondbacks, and they'll be playing the Atlanta Braves that week, and their brand new third baseman for the Arizona Diamondbacks, Nolan Arenado.
Okay.
Former Colorado Rocky. But back to the Rockies, I mean, I think we'd expect there to be high attendance at all the Rockies games this year. That leads to the fact that management is all about the money there, and they make a lot of money. I think they were third in attendance last year per game. Don't expect too much from the Rockies this year. They haven't pulled out any big blockbuster trades. They're doing what they've always done. They're bringing in these former has-beens and hoping they can turn things around with the Rockies. Mickey Moniak was one of the players that did that last year. He had a good season. Former number one baseball player in the country. And so who knows, but pitching will be a problem, hitting will be a problem, and winning will be a problem in Denver. But the fans don't care. They always show up.
Yeah, I don't have much more to add. I've been thinking about it, and I can't really think of anything they've done that's really been shell-shocking. They put Chris Bryant on the 60-day IL, which
that's
been his home for the last 5 seasons. So, it's very frustrating, and hopefully change is looming, but the offseason has kind of proven that it's just the same old in Denver.
Well, and everybody seemingly is chasing the Los Angeles Dodgers at this point. They're doing what George Steinbrenner used to do with the Yankees, even more so. I don't know.
It's called Moneyball.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting.
When
I think of Moneyball, I think of Billy Bean at Oakland. This is just spitball.
Yeah,
it is. That's a better way to say it. Yeah, it's just a much checkbook.
But I think there's going to be a new what do they call it? Agreement between the players and the MLB here in the next bargaining agreement here in the next few years. I'm hearing rumors that they might push for a salary cap. Hopefully that happens, because I think baseball is teetering on the edge where the Dodgers and the Yankees, the teams that are able to spend, are willing to spend, because I think the Rockies could spend a lot more money than they do, but are willing to spend the money, are just going to win every year. And so it's becoming a little bit less competitive. You know what I mean? So
well, it's kind of always been. Baseball's one of the few sports that you can definitely pick out teams who from day one just aren't going to do it. You get a Johnny come lately every now and then, but not quite as often. I don't know how a salary cap will get imposed, because owners to some extent have fought it. Your lower income teams a lot of times fight it, because if you're going to do a cap, they usually want to do a hard floor too, that's higher than usually like your Tampas in the world want to spend. And then of course, what's in it for overall players? Maybe it would be pretty good, but of course for like Shoshone Ohtani or Ohtani and places like that, I mean, they want to get those $220, $330 million contracts and whatnot. So it'll be interesting to see. It'd be nice to have a little more competitive balance in baseball, because it's gotten way out of whack. But it's, quite honestly, if you look back, it's been way out of whack for quite some time. Final topic here is we got about 3 minutes. Of course, big news for the Mountain West as North Dakota State jumps to FBS, and they're doing it fairly quickly, as they're going to join in football. Is it every sport they're joining this year?
Football only.
Okay, it's football only, because I was about to say, I know there's all sorts of rules with basketballs and tournaments, so they're going to be football only. It'll be interesting to see how one is, what they add to it. I like it's kind of a natural rivalry for several teams, of course, Wyoming being one of them. It'll be interesting to see what North Dakota State, who's had some great success against some FBS teams in the past in one-offs, does on a consistent level from year one. So, but a big add to the Mountain West as they go through the Pac-12 Mountain West split.
We're going to see different schedules now. The schedules have been out for a while, but year one they're going to play a Mountain West schedule. It's a great addition for the Mountain West, and it brings a lot of buzz to the Mountain West after the Packstabbers have left and joined their own conference. But the thing I like about it is that there's now going to be a new trophy. And it's going to be a bronze of Craig Bowl, and it's going to be called the Bowl when these two teams play each other. It really does have a natural rivalry feel to it. Wyoming has played North Dakota State in the past. It's been a close game, and I would expect that they'll be looking to come in and win in year one. Now, they can't win a conference championship for 2 years. That's the requirement, and there is money attached. And so they're in it for the long term, and I just love the addition of North Dakota State to the Mountain West Conference.
It'll be interesting to see what they do with the schedule because they had the perfect 9 where you had the 8 conference games, so everybody played everybody. Now they have 10, so I don't know what they'll do. Obviously, you're going to miss out on one opponent every season. I guess.
You could go 9 game. I mean, SEC's going 9 game. Big Ten, I think, has been there. ACC's been there, so you could go with a 9 game schedule.
You could. A lot of teams, I think. That's their fundraising. You know,
they go 4 non-conference games. So
they go lose to Bama or somebody and get paid $3 million. You know what I mean?
I still think that'll be available. It'll be interesting to see what they do. It would make sense to have everybody play everybody.
It would, yeah.
We'll know fairly quick. We'll know before they actually come out with a schedule. If all of a sudden you start seeing teams like, oh, this series in 2029 and 2031 were canceled. This one was canceled. I made a prediction to Cody that give it a couple more years and it'll go up to, they'll have 11 teams because I just can't, with the hatred between South Dakota State and North Dakota State, I could see South Dakota State Jackrabbits saying, okay, we want to make the move too. And to me, that's perfect because I think the Dakotas, Montana, Idaho, stuff like that, if they could make the move, perfect rivalries, and it makes a lot more sense in the Mountain West. Probably still, I think both of them looking at their TV contracts are realizing that the Pac-8 and the Mountain West should just become one big like Pac Mountain West conference and split into divisions or something like that, and there'd been a lot more money potentially on the table.
It's hard to imagine that the Pac-8 were not trying to get North Dakota State. That seemed like the most obvious team to bring up out of FCS was North Dakota State. So the fact that the Mountain West got them, I mean, that's pretty telling, I think, with what the ability of the Pac-12 is, or Pac-8.
Well, there was a story out yesterday, not by anybody super credible, but it did predict that the next team that's ready for the jump are the Jackrabbits from South Dakota State. So who knows what will happen. I think the Mountain West is going to come out of this thing just the same as they were before. They're going to be powerful, and they're going to draw the money where the Packstabbers going over to the West Coast, they're going to be difficult. It's a very difficult time slot in the country when you play totally in the West Coast. And already USC, UCLA, Oregon, teams that made the jump to the Big Ten are realizing the benefits of playing in a different time slot during the day. I mean, the national focus is on those conferences that play during the day.
Well, I still miss Pac-12 after dark because that game was always weird. It'd be like 50-48, nothing but safety scored or something like that. I think the Pac-8, I think they probably went for it, but one of the things about North Dakota State is how much money will North Dakota State bring? It's not like they're bringing a huge TV market or anything of that nature, and the Pac-8 really needs it because the Pac-8 has kind of sold the Pack-stabbers, as you call them, and has tried to sell teams joining that, they're going to be a Power 5 type team. No, they're not, and they're probably a Power 5 conference. They're not ever going to be that, most likely. So they're looking for big TV markets. And I think they're realizing that it's a great move to get, like, when I think they were trying to go after like UTSA or somebody like that in San Antonio. Oh, well, we could get San Antonio. Well, yeah, but Texas and Texas A&M are still the big draws in San Antonio, not UTSA. But you would get the market, so it'll be interesting to see Pac-12, Pac-8 very seemingly disappointed in their TV deal, and what will that mean? because it's all about the markets you can bring. I mean, there's no reason for Missouri to be in the SEC except for it brought them St. Louis and KC for the easier tier to get into for the SEC network, and same thing for the Big Ten, getting Los Angeles and things of that nature. But I agree with you. I think they're getting the benefit of it. I think every sport besides football and maybe basketball hates it, because I can't imagine the volleyball players want to go out to Rutgers and play an 11 a.m. game that's like 8 a.m. their time, and they've complained about it. I mean, that USC is getting frequent flyer miles out the wazoo. So is UCLA, Oregon, and Washington. So for all those smaller sports. So,
Well, and conversely, so are the teams in the Big Ten because they're having to fly out there a couple times a year too. So it's a weird climate these days in football and college athletics. But I'll tell you, getting North Dakota State is a coup. It's they've got a national following. It's not huge, but I'll tell you, it's as good as most of the teams in the Mountain West, and it brings in that it factor to the Mountain West Conference.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see, and maybe next week, we're about to sign off here, we can get into what the debacle is in Mississippi a little bit with Trinidad Chambliss. NCAA keeps saying, nope, you're rejected. Then a judge in Mississippi, shocking, says there's an injunction, so he may get his 137th year of eligibility here, but it keeps going back and forth between the courts and the NCAA.
Did want to point out real quick, there is a Riverton connection to North Dakota State in football. Rick and Josephine Gilpatrick's grandson is going to be a sophomore tight end at North Dakota State this next year. So that's an interesting one to watch. Good friends of ours, but they've been going to North Dakota State games for a while, and I know they're excited that they'll be able to go to Laramie and watch their grandson play.
Yeah, Kevin Simpson just texted in, let Chambliss play. But once again, we've got 5:30 and 7 o'clock tonight, Wyoming, Indiana on KWYW, Thermopolis on KDNO at Shoshone. You guys are against Big Piney tonight. And then Kimmer tomorrow, and then Lander tonight is, I just forgot where, Mountain View. They're at Mountain View. So
That's
loaded with
a long
basketball.
road trip.
And then tomorrow we've got all 4 of our normal broadcast teams playing.
And where do you go
well.
next week on the road, Kevin?
Here's the funny part about
Star
it.
Valley.
I like it. The people are so nice, and it's a quaint little town. I mean, because Star Valley is not like Riverton, where it's based really on one city. It's several smaller cities kind of funneling into the one high school. Because my daughter's best friend at UW, she went to Star Valley, and she commuted an hour each way to get to Star Valley. She lived in Etna, or one of those towns. I don't even know them all, Alpine or something like that. So it's just, there's no good way to get there. You know, there's no like straight line.
It's a very good highway. It's a brand new highway.
You're either going up and down or whatnot, and you know, Togety Pass in the winter. But I am told next year, in addition to the Stranigan coming back, that the Friday-Saturday games for 4A are coming back. So we'll do Jackson and Afton Friday night and Saturday, and we'll only have to brave Togety once, because that's the only pass I've actually ever been scared on. So for Baylor and Cody, this has been Kevin Shields on WyoToday Sports Live. We'll see you next Friday here on 101.7 KDNO.